Have you thought about how things are really going in your creative life, in your spiritual life, in your family life? Because without that reflection, it is impossible to set achievable goals for 2025. We'll be just shooting in the dark. We're not really being honest about where we are right now till we know where we're going. So this is all about how to set goals for 2025 that you will actually achieve. And that is the key word, right? It's not just setting goals. It's actually achieving those goals, because it's so easy for us to simply say, well, I want to achieve this, I want to do that, and think that that's all it takes is just to set the goal, set the resolution, and like magic, it will appear. But we all know that is not really the case. We all know that when it comes to our creative lives, just saying you're going to do a thing does not mean you're going to do the thing. Honestly, just saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to set goals to write this book, and then I'm going to set this goal to reach this many people with my music. And then I want to set this goal. You all know, we all know, and we've all done it before, where we had New Year's resolutions or something like that. And we started fast. We started in January with this great intention. And what happens around February or March, right? That is the common, we all know it's going to happen. So the first thing I would ask you is, honestly, you know, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. So let's not do that this year. Let's do something different at the end of the year that will lead to better results going into 2025. How about we think about setting goals that we actually will achieve? Now, this does not mean lowering our goals, by the way, because lowering our goals is the exact opposite of the idea of actually achieving our goals. Good to see you. Pamela is in the house. So great to have you here, our 360 Gold member and an amazing part of our community. So I'm glad you're checking in, Pamela, because this is a great conversation. So what we are talking about right now is how to set goals that we will actually achieve. How do we set goals that we'll actually achieve in 2025? So there's 3 steps that I think will make this possible for us. Now, the first step that I think every single one of us, no matter what we do, we got to take this step. And we're probably doing it right now, even as you're talking or thinking about this. Reflection is the first step. Reflection. So what do I mean by reflection? Reflection means you cannot set goals for 2025 without first looking back at 2024. And John Maxwell, who is an incredible, probably the most well-known Christian leadership and Christian living in terms of the principles he teaches, he is right up there with pretty much no one else I can think of that's written more, been more prolific when it comes to how to organize your life and better your life than John Maxwell. So I remember reading in one of his books, he's had, hundreds of books, but I think one that might be Leadership Gold or something like that, where he talks about how he finishes the year. Now, this is extreme, so I wouldn't recommend this. Pamela, let me know what you think about this process. Also, our friends on Instagram, if you're listening, I can always see your comments. I'm not necessarily going to be able to pull them up, but I will see your comments. Let's pull you up. So Ish Music joined, and also Key of D Music. Thank you for joining us. So this is what Maxwell does. Maxwell says at the end of the year, he takes all of his appointments, his work, his emails, all of it, every single thing in his calendar, and he evaluates if it helped him get closer to his goals. Now, that just makes me tired just thinking about it. Anybody else? Can you imagine taking every single thing you do this year on your calendar? Number one, you would have had to keep up with all of it, right? And then line by line, evaluating how it helped you reach your goals for 2024. I'm not saying that I'm at that level. I don't think I could make it that far. I would be like done by February. I'd be like, I can't do this. I have trouble just doing the finances and the recounting and the reflection over what I've spent. It is painful. But Maxwell's point is we have to be willing to reflect on what really happened. And I was telling my son the other day, and this is something I also taught several times. I think I've talked about in different blog posts about the Stockdale paradox. If you've never heard of Stockdale paradox, it's from the book Good to Great by Jim Collins. And it talks about how those who are the most brutally honest are the ones that are most likely to succeed. And again, this comes back to reflection in terms of, are you brutally honest with yourself about how things went in 2024? This is, again, not feel good. So let me know in the comments if you've done some reflecting on 2024 yet. Have you thought about what really happened? Have you thought about how things are really going in your creative life, in your spiritual life, in your family life? Because without that reflection, it is impossible to set achievable goals for 2025. We'll be just shooting in the dark. We're not really being honest about where we are right now till we know where we're going. Let's check in on Pamela. I can't imagine that. Oh, you're talking about Maxwell, especially with the volume of its impact, but I like it. I evaluate myself monthly, but I'm not at the Maxwell level yet. Yes, we are all trying to get to that next level of Maxwell, right? Yes, I love his materials too. I think the key of that is now some people do a sabbatical, not sabbatical, more like a retreat, like a vision retreat. They'll go someplace special. They'll go to a hotel. They'll go out of town and they'll step away and they'll say, okay, what really happened this year? What am I really happy about? Now, one thing I'll tell you right now is something that I do every New Year's. So this is kind of like not applying to now, but applies to later. Every New Year's, I write a letter to myself, to my future self, explaining what happened last year. So I can't read that letter until January 1st. But I heard this on a podcast and I've never stopped doing it. I think I've done this about maybe 10 years or so. So here's what's interesting about that letter. That letter is what I thought I was going to be feeling or thinking about at the end of the year, last year when I wrote it in 2023. When I open it, it's going to be eye-opening in terms of what I thought I was going to be focused on, what was going to happen, and what actually happened. That's the power of that letter writing to yourself. I should do more talking about that. I'll share that a little later. But it's just a reflection of what really happened. What did I really spend my time on? What was really impactful to me? And if you sit down and reflect on that, before you think about, well, what I want to do next year, I want to do this, I want to achieve this, I want to follow this thing, I want to do this thing. If you start with that reflection, serious reflection, your chances of getting your goals achieved is like increased 100-fold, because there's so much more, what's the word I'm looking for? There's so much more information. There's so much more context. That's a better word. There's so much more context when you know where you actually are financially, spiritually, relationally, when you reflect. The second thing I want to get to after you reflect is you got to collect. Now, collection. What is collection? Well, collection is basically similar to reflection, but now it's physical. Collection is getting all of the things that you want to do in the same place. So this might be collecting all of your information and your thoughts and your goals onto a spreadsheet. Maybe it's your notebook. Maybe many of you journal. Maybe you're writing in your journal about all of your goals and the things that you found out about yourself, about what you want to do. Maybe it's financial. So now you got to collect everything into your binder when it comes to your ledger, or your computer when it comes to, okay, financial goals here, 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 here. So you cannot have reflection without collection, because if you just think about your goals, but you don't actually put it on paper or put it in your computer, it is, again, just kind of like nebulous. Hey, I think I want to do this, but you don't collect it, write it down, make sure that it is in a tangible place where you can reflect on it. And then actually go back to it. Because if you don't collect it and don't have it a place where it's actually presented to yourself, this could be your vision statement. It could be anything, but it's got to be collected. It can't just be in your head. All right. So that's the second step. I'm moving ahead because I want to make sure we get to everything we have to get to today. Don't want to take too long, even though this is super important. And finally, we have intention. After reflection and collection, we have intention. Now I'm going to read something from a post. I don't have the whole post here in any short kind of bio, but I want you to think of the intention of these 5 areas, these 4 areas, I should say. I want to think of the intentions of your relationships. What relationships will bring you more joy next year? Intentionally think about that. What relationships will bring me more joy? What relationships are going to be more influential? Which relationships are going to be the ones that I will look back on 2025 and say, wow, I'm so glad I poured more into that relationship. Okay, so be intentional about setting goals in your relationships. Projects, creative projects. Be intentional about how you're going to intend to reach certain projects. If you want to create an album, if you want to launch a new business, you want to launch a different arm of your business, if you want to move to a new city, if you want to buy a new house. Now, think about the intention of what it will take to do those things. You can't do them until you first get the mindset around it. So that's the first thing. Your mindset has to change. That's why we focus so much on reflection. But then how am I going to do this? Same thing with finances. Where do you intend to make a new investment? Where do you intend to find new clients? Where do you intend to do these things? So you have to move past collection and reflection and into intention. And since you already have a place to write this down, you should be writing these things down in terms of where you intend to go. Now, does that mean you will always go where you intend to go? Of course not. There will be bumps in the road. But what somebody I've heard say in different ways, and I've heard this a couple of places now, so I know it's true, is already budget, I should say, both your time and your money for things to go wrong. I love the idea of saying, hey, this is probably not going to work exactly the way I want. So I'm going to go ahead and budget in time in my head and in my planning for things to go wrong. So don't create a Pollyanna thing where everything's going to go perfect. It's probably not. But if you sit down and say to yourself, hey, even if there's human error or issues or natural this or natural that, I'm still going to be on path because I'm intentional about how I am setting up my creative goals for 2025. So hopefully, I believe that Vital Signs has helped you to really see the point behind setting your goals for 2025 in a way that isn't just haphazard. It isn't just, I just want to create this or create that and do all these things and not think about how does it actually impact the people that I'm trying to reach? Does it impact them? Or does it just impact me? Because if it just impacts you, your scope in terms of your impact is going to be limited. If you make it about the other people, some of your mind expands. My friend, thank you for watching this episode. If that blessed you, you got to make sure that you stay connected with this community and this channel so that you can get more where that came from. We're sharing great interviews, tactics, strategies, mindsets, lifestyle choices. Everything is going to help you become a totally confident creative. And don't miss an episode of the Guide to Gig Show. If you are staying connected to our channel, you'll be able to find us anytime we release new episodes. And you can check out some of our archives of almost 200 episodes now that we've shared over the last few years. Make sure you check out one of the suggestions right now because it's probably perfect for you to continue to develop as a creative. And continue to stay connected with us because we're here to help you become the creative that God created you to be. We'll see you in the next episode.